Hi there, it's Tina at Tina Stitches. Welcome to my channel. I am here to talk to you about cross stitch. This is a Flosstube channel. There are a lot of Flosstube options out there, and if you're into cross stitch, that's what you need to check out. So it's been a week since my last video, but I've been a little bit busy, and you will see in a little bit what I've done. Welcome back if you're a subscriber. Thank you if you're new. I hope you like what you see, and subscribe and come back for more. Yeah, like I said, it's been a week and stuff has happened. I've finished a project, a big project, something that I've started back in 2016. So 5+ years in the making. I'm going to say it was probably summer of 16 when I started it, so yeah, 5.5 years, and it's finished, and you'll see that in a minute. I also worked on my usuals, really, and I will show you those. I don't have any haul, but I have a lot of stash already, and so what I decided to do was dig out my fabric and match fabric to patterns, so that if I get the urge to start something, it is there pretty much ready to go. I have all the DMC threads, but that's to be determined when I start it, if I'm going to use overdyes or whatever, you know how that goes. So anyways, I'm going to show you my whips and my finish, and then we'll get into all of that goodness. So there will be a lot of crinkling, and I'm really sorry. I can't help it. I have put everything in baggies to keep them together. But first, let's just show the whips first. So the first one that I'm going to show you is my lunchtime project, and this one was called for in the monthly magazine challenge for smallest whip. And what day was that? I'm going to be honest, I have not been good at the monthly magazine challenge Bringo, because I wanted to focus on finishing that project. So sorry, not sorry. Smallest project was project number 4, which was called on the I don't know, 14th. But I also work on this at home, at work, during my lunch hour. Escornu, Dawn, Escornu, D-A-W-N, by Riolis. And I'm stitching it with everything that was included in the kit, which is 25 count Swigert and Anchor cotton thread. There is metallics and beads, but I'm not at that. I haven't started that yet. I am at the point where I can add the metallic and beads to this part. This is the top part. And all of the stitching is done 1/1 full cross 25 count. Probably some of you may be familiar with why these are hanging out here. Some of you may not be. When I am stitching 1/1 full cross, I find it very difficult to start a thread when you are tucking under threads on the back. It's very tight. And this is a pretty large needle. It's the one that came with the kit, I believe. But anyways, so I would, at the beginning, I was taking my single strand and putting it under, and then start so that half of the thread was pulled up, and then I would do my stitching, and then I would go and thread this, and then I would do more stitching, and then tuck that under. Tucking it under is such a pain in the butt. So after about having half of this done, I decided I'm just going to do away waist knots. So what that is you put your thread under, away from the design, bring it across and pull up, and then start stitching across so that you're stitching over the thread as it's pinned down at the back. And when you stop your thread, you would do the same thing. You would stop it. Your last X would be away from it, and then you would bring it up over here so that your next row of stitching would go across it. So I don't know if I explained it very well, but that's why the edges look like a mess. I still have to do, there's some gold and some beads to put on here, and the back stitch outline for the assembly into a biscornu, and then I have to stitch the bottom part. Hold. One thing I should mention is that when you're doing an away waist knot, if you read instructions from designers and such that have that instructions in their instructions, they would say put a knot in the thread, bring it under, and then you would snip the knot off. I just held it in place. So up to you what you want to do. My next project is Cassiopeia by Mirabilia. Here's what it'll look like when it's finished. And here's where she is now. And this is after 2 days of stitching since my last video, working over here, mostly filling it in as I go up. So I made a working copy, and my working copy ends over here. So I've just been working as far as that copy goes. I think it looks fabulous. This is 32 count Dawn by Picture This Plus. Dawn biscornu, Dawn fabric. There is not a theme, I swear. I couldn't remember which fabric that was the last time I showed it, but I came across the remnant of that, and it's Dawn for sure. So I also worked on Beaditudes, but I only did a day, and there's like very little to show, so I thought I'll skip that one. We'll show it next time. The letters, the numbers that were called for Whipgo, I don't know the numbers exactly, but Cassiopeia and Beaditudes are the projects that I'm working on to fulfill that challenge. So my next project, my whip, that I'm going to show you is Beloved. By Heaven and Earth. Jill Sessler is the artist. Heaven and Earth charted it. And here's where we are at. And there again you will see where I'm doing the away waste and also parking. So it can get a little bit confusing, but I'm managing. So I've worked over here in the black, and I've started to work over here, trying to bring this down, because this has been brought down, and this has been brought down, and this is kind of up, so I want to bring it down all pretty even, and then I'll scroll it up and work some more. And I'm going to put it where it normally sits. While we finish the rest of this, I had it resting on a bin, which I'm going to be putting all of this into as we go, hopefully. But my next project, I really wish I had a board big enough to clip this to. Just let me try. Okay, so I found something to clip it to. It's not the perfect solution, but it'll work. It'll have to do. This is Crystal Christmas. Started in 2016 and finished January 10th, 2021. 2022. Boy, oh boy. And here's where it is finished. I don't know if you can see the whole thing. There it is. There is so much sparkle. So many beads. There's the star. And I believe that I had mentioned in my last video that I thought there might have been too many packets of beads called for, but I had forgotten about this garland detail. So there was not too many packets of beads called for. I would say it's probably about right. Washed and ironed, not perfectly ironed, but ready to be honestly rolled up and put in the bin of shame. The shame it's not framed bin. This is not catching the sparkle. So, like I said in my last video, Whisper was only in these details on the dresses. Here, on the cuffs, and the earmuff here. So it called for 5 cards. I believe I only used 2. It called for 3 cards of the Arctic rays, and that was only used in some parts of the tree. Trying to find them. Like right there. That's beads. That's the rays. Another thing that I wanted to point out is when I do my beading, lots of people have different opinions on how to bead. I like my beads to lay in different directions. This piece has a lot of motion. The dress, you know, there's ruffles in the dress, there's swirls in the sky. So I've had her beads laying one direction on this side of the dress and then in the opposite direction on this side. The swirls on the tree, the beads are laying, I tried to make them go straight and then at an angle and then, you know, to follow the swirl. If they're on this side of the tree, they were angled this way. On that side, they're angled that way. And I used white DMC thread to anchor the beads, because my background fabric is white and I don't have invisible thread. This one did take a long time. Part of the reason is because I didn't have a frame, a stitching frame big enough for it. There you see the back. I worked the first part of it, I worked with on a hoop, which was not the best thing. And then I worked in a large cube snap, which worked out a lot better. But come to beading time, honestly, if I had thought about it at the time, I would have put this in a scroll frame just for beading it, just at the end for beading it, because it can be rolled up. And honestly, I would have just rolled it loosely to do the beads, because there's so many beads. There would have been lots of quilt batting can be used as a buffer between the fabric and the frame and between the layers of, as it's rolled, you would put batting and then roll it. But it's finished. Very happy with that. So now we have a lot of stuff to get through here, and I hope I have enough battery power. So I've divided my piles into, you know what, there was 3 other projects that I didn't show in my finished parade. They were tucked away with the fabrics, and I'm going to show them now. Sorry, not sorry, it's my channel. They're not ironed, but I'll give a few comments as I show them. This is with my needle by just Nan, stitched with the called for silks. This was also finished in 2021. Had 1/1 medallions for the lettering, and that's where I used that waist knot method for attaching the thread for my start and end points on that. That was kitted up when I bought it off of a stash unload. Mad Hatter's Tea Party. How could I forget that I finished this one last year as well? Kit, everything, bothy threads, black thread from the kit, pre-printed fabric. That was also in there, and what is this one called? Peacock Sampler by Victoria Sampler. Stitch with the called for silks on 28 count fabric from stash. And all of these will be put into a bin of shame. Shame it's not framed. What can you do? I don't have a framing shop near me, so it's not like I can just walk in and say, here, frame it. So things are a little bit harder. Okay, so things I have kitted up, mostly fabric to pattern. Some of them have flosses, some of them do not. So some of them I bought on stash unload, some of them I got from a needlework shop, some of them I've had in my massive collection of stash since who knows. So it's really a shame I'm not doing anything with them. So I said I'm going to allow myself 22 new starts in 22. I have more than 22 here. I really doubt that I'm going to do that many starts, but some of them are very small, and why not? So this is Shepherd's Bush Sunflower Summer. I bought this year off of a stash unload. It's just a chart, but I've dyed this fabric for a different pattern. I will have to frog what I did do, but this is just the right size, and I like my sunflowery patterns to be on a sunny kind of fabric. So into the bin. This is Amaranth by Shepherd's Bush. It's a really hard to see picture. I also bought this off a stash unload, and it's all kitted up. It's very pretty. So this one I can just pick up and start. Put it in my take to lunch bag. This one I did have in my lunch bag, but never did start it. Petite French Stockings by JBW Designs. I do stockings. Come on, this is me. I have something, a nice green fabric, similar to the picture. Threads, even the needle, it's all in there. And I'm going to put it all back in there. So that things are not misplaced. I won this one on a Flosstube giveaway, Stitch and Stuff. Sarah and Kim. They have giveaways all the time. People should go check them out. They stitch all kinds of stuff. Not the stuff that I would stitch, but I still enjoy their company. And I do get, oh, what's the word? There's a word, I can't find it. Happens all the time. I do get convinced that I should probably stitch that because it is beautiful. Might not be my style, but it's still beautiful. And this is one of them. It's a quirky cat, wicked cute cat, by Sandra Sullivan, Homespun Elegance. I have this scrap piece of fabric. I think it'll go good. This side is pretty splotchy, but I think the other side is a little more solid. That won't take much to throw some thread in there and start it. This one was a Christmas gift. It was on my wish list at 123 and somebody saw it and bought it. And the fabric, so this is a 3 Violets Humbug. It's a really good Easter chart with some bunnies, and they stitched it on a purple fabric, but I had this green scrap just sitting there, so why not? To be honest, this is cashel and I find it really loose. I did not enjoy stitching on it before, but it's a small pattern. I think I can deal with it. So those are all of the smalls that I can just pick up and stitch. The next ones I'm going to show you, I have fabric for, but they're digital and I need to get my tablet. Okay, so the first one that I'm going to show you is probably going to be a birthday start because it is an Alice in Wonderland pattern. And I even ordered the threads, but I could not get the kit, which means I had to find my own fabric. So this is Owl Forest Embroidery Queen of Hearts. That's what it looks like. I have the Owl Forest threads and a needle minder, and I have this bit of fabric I got from the Fabric of the Month Club with extra designs, and it's called Spooky October, but I think it'll be just right. It's a little more yellow than I would have wanted, but it's, I mean, aside from the black bits, I think it'll work out just fine. This part has quite a bit of black bits. This side is better. And I won't need the whole thing because I got a huge piece. Well, you know, huge is relative, but so that's the plan for that. Don't think I'll need the whole piece of fabric, so I can still do something else with it. I really hope I don't lose that. Pretty big bin, but okay. The next one that I've decided, I've had this fabric for, and I was racking my brain, what am I going to do with it? So I thought, well, I was one of the fortunate people who got Pandemic while it was free. And I know you know what this looks like. Pandemic by Long Dog Samplers. I have this beautiful piece of 36 count Phantom Edinburgh linen by Picture This Plus. I'm sure it's big enough. And I originally bought it because I was thinking of mermaids, but then, silly me, it's 36 count. Any of the mermaid designs that are in my thought process are all Mirabilia, Bella Filipina, and they are all with beads, etc. So you can't do them on 36 count. So Pandemic is just it's just thread on fabric. So I'm gonna click this note on here because otherwise I will forget. But I'm going to think about thread options. I have a cone of white. I'm wondering about what color to stitch on this. The process is still, that doesn't want to sit in there nicely. I still need to think of the thread color. This next piece is for a pattern that I haven't bought yet, and it is hard copy, but I haven't seen it at shops. But as soon as I saw the design, I was like, I really want that. Really want it. I wonder, I should go look at another place. But Alessandra Adelaide, the bee design, say, where is it now? Do I have it pulled up on here? No, I don't. Save the Bees by Alessandra Adelaide. It's loading. I have really crappy internet. So that's the pattern. And this is the fabric that I got for this pattern. Might be too much yellow, but I'm setting it aside for it anyways. I just need to find that hard copy. So now, those are the digital ones and the small ones. These are this is my stack of mediums. They're not take it to work and stitch on my break, although this one, a couple of them probably could, but they're not PAPs. I mean, yes, Pandemic is a PAP, but it's a digital, that's why I showed it. This one is kind of on the cusp, and it is well suited. My ink circles. I am drawn to the reds in this, of course, and I have some Monaco, just white, 28 count. Pretty sure there's nothing on this piece, and really that's all this needs is a nice white background. It is stitched with Valdani's and Kreinik. I think I'm just going to use, I might even use Anchor Black, Kreinik, and Turkish Red would be really good. Nice red overdyed. That's that. This next one, I think I need some more of the silks, but I did start kitting it up with the called for. Blooming Bouquets number 4, beautiful. Look at those reds again. And in my stash, I had 32 count Earthen Lugana. I have a really big piece, so if I get more of the series, I can add on the same fabric. I will cut it to size. I don't need 26 by 35 for this. I don't know, is that a fat half? I think it is. I should go through and see if I have all of the threads or not, but that is really ready to go. They stitch on 36 count Legacy linen. It's 126 by 154, so 7 by 8 on that. It'll be a little bit bigger than that on mine. 32 count. So things just want to slide. Next one in the pile of I can start this anytime is Sue Hillis Designs Broderie à Paris. And if you watch Dena at Half Stitch Cross Stitch, you will know that she has finished this, and she used shades of blue or green. I think it's a green blue kind of in between kind of colorway, and I'm drawn to the red. I really like that red, but I couldn't find a piece of fabric that I thought would really do. And as I was going through all of my stash, I was like, wait a minute, what about that? That might be nice. And this is Fiber on a Whim, 32 count Belfast Linen Cypress. I'm sticking to the red though, I think. I think on this fabric you could go with the white and it would look really nice. But I got my red. And I think it'll still look really nice. I was, you know, shopping for red thread, and I've put 2 skeins of Weeks Dye Works Crimson in there, but I also got this Valdani number 78 Aged Wine. I put that in there as a, will this one be the one? It calls for Cranberry by Gentle Arts. Which I am using Cranberry on Beatitudes. So it's a redder red, whereas this is a very deep crimson. That one's ready to go. This one has got to be stitched soon. I had put on my wish list that I wanted this accessory pack for a Victoria Sampler pattern. And of course my husband went and bought it. Well, I didn't have the pattern and I couldn't find the pattern. The pattern was out of print. And so I was like, damn, I have this accessory pack. But luckily I found on a Stash Unload somebody was selling Linda's Ort bag, and it was fully kitted up. Fabric accessory pack, including the pearl cotton accessory pack, and so I have 2 accessory packs. Don't think I'll need the pearl cotton. I will probably use the fabric. But after that, I have the pattern and the accessory pack and probably the pearl cotton to pass on. So I really should stitch this so I can share it. This next one is a Christmas present, so it came pretty much kitted. Well, not completely kitted, but this is Remembering November. This is by Marnik Designs. It was kind of hard to find, but you can go to Stitch It Central. They might still have some. And it calls for some specialty thread, which I will probably get. And the fabric that he bought me was 28 count antique white Lugana. Calls for 32 count. I'm not going to be that fussy. This will do, and I like the way it stands out on that white anyways. So that just needs the threads. This one, I almost kitted it up with another piece of fabric, but it wasn't the right size, so this is 32 count Mushroom Lugana and Alessandra Adelaide's Hot Chocolate. A nice neutral brown background, and I still have to get the threads, pick some threads. Probably some browns. I mean, there's elements in the cup that can be a different color. You know, you have designs on your teacup, right? So some of these can be, oh, let's say red, and the steam a nice gray. And another Alessandra Adelaide. These were on my wish list and purchased. Sorry for the crinkling. Purchased by family members for me. This is Butterfly by Alessandra Adelaide. Now, the piece of fabric and floss that I have chosen are very similar to the front, which I didn't really want to copy, but why not? We'll see. I might change my mind. This is River of Life by Forbidden Fiber Co. It came with the Black Needle Society, the January box. And this is some, I think it's 32 count raw linen that I've had in my stash forever. So this one is, I might have to change something. I might not. There's other, it shows other ways of stitching it. I do like the white. So we'll see. These next ones, I've got 2 pieces of fabric chosen. Both of them, both pieces of fabric should be big enough to do all 3 patterns on, but I'm not sure which one I'm going to go with. And this is another one that I won on a Flosstube video. This was from Sarah at Our Stitching Kingdom. She has decided to pass this on because she knows she's not going to stitch it. HL's Moth by Kathy Barrick. This is not something that you would normally see on my channel. I am not a huge Kathy Barrick stitcher. This is probably the first pattern I've ever owned, but I have a sunroom and I want to do some botanical type stitching for out there. And I was even thinking, you know, maybe I'll just leave the project out there for stitching out there. Okay, sorry about that. Battery died. So, anyways, yes, stitching out in the sunroom, stitch some botanical patterns out there. So this one is one of them. And these are the other 2. So we have butterflies and dragonflies. These patterns by Filigram call for silk threads. Probably not going to do that. There is a DMC conversion, so I'm most likely going to do that. I might throw in an overdyed here and there for effect. Like maybe the greenery will be variegated. This HL's Moth came with the conversion. I can't remember whose conversion it is, but the threads are in here for this. The 2 pieces of fabric that I have are different from each other. This was my first grab, and this is another raw linen. I think there's a tag on here somewhere. It's a big piece. It says that it's 32 count natural raw Belfast, but if I remember right, I feel like this is not 32 count. I will have to check the count. I'm not worried about it not fitting. There's lots here. The other fabric I have which I think will go more with what I was envisioning, is this 32 count Belfast driftwood. So it's more of a gray tone than brown. So more like a, well, it's called driftwood. You get the idea. So I am putting both pieces with these three because my mind is not 100% made up. I'm thinking the raw linen is too dark. Like parchment type would have been better, but I don't have parchment. Sorry for the crinkling. And like I said, I think the pieces that I have are big enough to do all three of these patterns. Everything just wants to slide in the bin. These next two I've had for a little while now, probably maybe 2 years. I'm going to say a year, but you know, it could have been 2 or 3. Might have even been 4. This is Strawberry Fair sampler, and I have fabric and threads when I bought it as a kit on a stash and load. Sweetheart tree, beautiful. Lots of specialty stitches, and this one I think I'm more drawn to than the strawberry one. Lady Dunmore's sampler, also purchased as a kit, so I can start those anytime. Now I'm gonna reset the table here. Okay, so I heard some movement going on upstairs. Thought somebody was coming down too, but they're not. Now we get into the big projects. I don't know what I'm thinking, but I want to stitch them all. This one I've had for a very long time, since the boys were little. They now own their own houses, so they're not so little anymore. This is from premiere issue of Treasures in Needlework. I don't know how long this magazine was out. I did not get it when it came out, because according to the cover page, that would be 1991. I got it after that at a bookstore, a used bookstore, I'm sure. And in it, there's this beautiful Pageant Kings design by Sandy Orton. Okay, sorry. Khaleesi is not doing any better than previous couple of months. Not refusing totally. She can't use her back legs immediately after getting up. Arthritis. And so we have her on meds for that. So now we're picking her up to put her on furniture, etc. So she was just outside and then she wanted into the chair. I'm trying not to put her in the chair immediately so that she can wander around and get some stretches and some exercise, which is really hard to do right now with this really winter weather. So anyways, I was talking about Ella, Frog Princess, and this tarnished silver linen, Lakeside Linens. It is a purple, a light lilac type purple, which I think would go really nicely with those yellows. The way that it is right now, the yellow does not stand out. It blends into the background. I don't have a problem with that too much, but I have this beautiful purple that is just the right count, and probably too much of it. I had ordered this for a different pattern that I wanted to be on a silver, but I wasn't sure what I was going to get. But I was disappointed, but not entirely disappointed. I don't mind adding to my stash. So that's one of the Mirabilias. This one I just purchased, and if I didn't show it in my last video, I'll show it to you now. Ophelia. I'm sure I did show it because I mentioned that it was like a ode to my first Heaven and Earth designs, which was Ophelia by Hughes. And I have this beautiful piece of 32 count Dawn Belfast linen left over from Cassiopeia. It's right here. And should be just the right size. Yeah, I have 26 by 19. Its stitched area is 10.5 by 15. One side might be, oh no, there's lots of room. Lots of room, and it's a nice swampy type color. Sorry for the crinkling. This next Mirabilia that I have kitted up, I had bought this fabric. Do the crinkling, then talk. Okay, I had bought this fabric for this design and thought, I don't like it. But going through my fabrics, I have dyed something that I thought would be good, but it turned out, no, I didn't like it. It wasn't really smoky gray, it was more of a charcoal-y kind of gray, which is not the look I wanted. This, I wanted something that was a bit mottled, and this, when I got it, it's not mottled. But I'm still going to kit it up with this because it's, I think it'll still be fine. Christmas in London. Yeah, Christmas in London by Mirabilia. And I'm still not convinced I need to do this design at the bottom. yeah, this design at the bottom, I will probably leave that for last and then make a decision then, and I will probably end up stitching it. That's what happened with Crystal Christmas. I wasn't gonna do that fa la 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 and those medallions in the corners, but I did them. It is called for just white linen, but I have 32 count Silver Moon Belfast. It's got just a slight hint of gray. So I am putting that with this, and unless I find something, I'm still gonna look. Unless I find something that will be stitched on that. These next ones are big blank projects that are not Mirabilia. They're not Heaven and Earth. I did not do any Heaven and Earth kitting because I don't have a piece of fabric big enough to do any of the Heaven and Earths that I have bought and downloaded and such. But and I don't plan on stitching another Heaven and Earth until I get that one and maybe Hatter. That one finished. Hatter, well, whatever. This is, as soon as I saw it, I love this pattern. That's upside down. This is not color, black and white. Rose Quaker by Stickjean von Weerberg. I butchered that horribly. And that is what it looks like. It is stitched in DMCs, and I thought that would look beautiful in overdyed. And I bought 2 packages from Victoria Sampler. They're both labeled Mother's Flower Garden, but I know one of them is not. One of them is Mother's Flower Garden, the other one is some other garden. They're 2 different collections of reds and greens and pinks. The thing that has been stopping me is I'm hoping there's enough thread on the cards to do the design, because each piece is pretty big. But I could also mix it up more. I don't have to do all of the ones that are called for in one color. I don't have to do all of the motifs in that color. So I also was not, you know, fixed on my fabric, but I do have this 32 count Nessie Belfast linen. Nice aqua kind of color. I know it's big enough. I know those colors are going to be beautiful on it. I do want to get a couple of yellows to add in. I have a dish that has a bunch of flowers, and the dish itself is this kind of color with pinks and yellows for flowers on the pattern. So that's where I got my inspiration. Now I just need to start it. This one I got for Christmas, and I am going to point something out. This is Red Christmas by Jardin Privé. Now, it's beautiful. The colors are, that's me. But it's a square design. And when you look at the stitch count, it's 260 by 260. That's big. And I was doing the math myself, and I'm like, on 32 count, they're saying it's 5 1/4 by 8 3/4. I'm no genius, but I know a square design is equal on both sides. 5 1/4 by 8 3/4 is not equal. So I did the math, and even on 32 count, which is what I'm looking at here, 260 by 260 is 18 inches. Their centimeter conversion is right, but their imperial is wrong. Very wrong. So anyways, be careful. Get yourself a piece of fabric definitely big enough for the square, which is double the dimensions on the chart, unless you go with the centimeters. I had this fabric, excuse me, I've had this fabric for a while, not sure what I was going to stitch on it. I knew, because of the way the fabric is, I knew it would probably be a Christmas design. I had, what did I buy this for? I can't remember why I was looking for Huntress by Picture This Plus, but this is Opal. This is Crystal Huntress, so it's got opalescent to it, which is, that was fine, but I didn't expect it to be a green type opalescent. So I thought, well, this has to be Christmas then, because that green kind of color just screams Christmas. I thought about doing a Christmas Quaker or something like that, but I'm not that big into Quakers. But I thought, this done in, let's say, golds or white on this should turn out pretty good. So even though my husband, when he bought it, he got me the DMCs, I don't think I'll be using those colors in this. Now, this next one is something that I did get for Christmas. It was on my wish list, and I did see it in progress on a Facebook group. I believe it was Friday Off the Grid. This is English Sampler by Samplers Not Forgotten. I do need to get the threads. I'm not sure that I'm going to get the overdyes. I think I'll just do DMC, because it requires a lot, and it's called for 40 count tin roof, but I have 38 count Heron Gray by Access Commodities. And it's definitely the right size. So it's going to be a little bit darker background than the picture. But I think it's going to be fabulous, and I need to get the threads. And this last one, I still have to do the math, I'm pretty sure. No, this one will work. So this is drawn thread menagerie. This picture doesn't do it justice. There is a lot of white details in there. Here's another picture. This is a mock-up, I believe. So I would want the white bits to stand out better. And I got this because it was on sale. 36 count River Willow by Lakeside Linens. And it's a beautiful sage green. And it is the right size for this. So that's what I'm going to stitch this on. It's charted in silk. But there is a DMC conversion. I'm doing the DMC. I might do the silk. I might have some of these silks. And I am using a very expensive piece of linen, so I might as well use an expensive silk. And that's it. I have a piece of fabric here that I bought, a big piece of, because I'm going to be doing, because I do stockings, and this is perfect background fabric for generic stockings, like Stony Creek or Just Nan or whatever. I think I did my son's full coverage piece on this. Pretty sure it's 28 count. I could take it and dye it and do whatever I want with it, but I am going to be doing another stocking. Yeah, I just have to get into the craft room and get the pattern out, but it is a Just Nan pattern. It's one that I've wanted to do for a while, and I know somebody that I could stitch it for, so I thought, okay, I'll go ahead and stitch it. I don't think they watch my channel, but I'm not going to say who it's for, so there's that. And I don't even know when I'm going to start it. I just know it's one of the things that I can start this year. So with all of that done, I believe at the last count I took last night, that was 31 new starts ready, just needs threads. I have 2 chatelaines kitted up. One of them has the threads, the other one does not have the threads. And Heaven and Earth Designs, I have 4 of them that I would like to start. I could use that piece of fabric for them, but I like to stitch my Heaven and Earths on 25 count, so there's that. Although, you know, This is 28 count. I wonder if it's big enough for a stitching shelf. Maybe. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. So, let me know what you think. Which one should I start first? Which ones should I switch the fabric for? Did you see something that should go with something else instead? I did not, no, I did see, I was going to say I did not see a Victoria sampler in there, but there is one. There's some shepherd's bush, which honestly, I don't know if I've ever stitched a shepherd's bush. A couple of just nans, some magazine, one magazine start. I do have 2 more magazine fabrics and patterns like put together, but they're both, I think they're both Teresa Wentzler, and I already have one of those on the go. Don't need another one. These are some patterns that I have that I did not find a piece of fabric for, but if I come across something, I would also put these in the might start this year filigree laces and embroidery, and locks and keys, birds and cages, and scissors by Shakespeare's Peddler. One of them I won, and 2 of them I bought. So yeah, those are, would like to get them kitted up, but didn't find the right piece of fabric. Might be able to figure something out. So anyways, like I said, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you want to start a sal, I'm up for that. Just be warned that I will be like way behind. Most likely. There are other people who are like me and might just put a few stitches in and then focus on the other things, because it kind of makes me anxious to start that many things, but I have everything there. So why doesn't it make me anxious that they're just sitting there, right? So anyways, I am going to go and edit this, and okay, so we're going to be interrupted a little bit, but that's okay. I have in this book, this magazine, Pageant Kings, designed by Sandy Orton. Yes, Sandy Orton. It is, just filling up the stitch count, 225 by 174. This is a beautiful design, and I love it on the blue. And I do have some dark blue, but it is put aside for a chatelaine, and I'm not going to cut into that until I'm done my chatelaine, which I haven't started, not intending to start until my other chatelaine is finished. But it's in a magazine, and when I was looking through my magazines for the monthly magazine challenge group. This is one that I had flagged as I definitely want to start this. And in my stash I have 32 count Misty Blue Belfast Linen by Swagart. Perfect. Don't know why I didn't think of it before. I had been setting this fabric aside for Lavender and Lace Angels, I think, but don't intend to start one of those anytime soon. I have 2 finished, so I only need 16 3/4 by 20 1/4, and my piece is 20 by 27, so I will have about a 9-inch strip left. And with that, I could probably do, like they did, some ornaments out of these top pieces. This also is inclusion and representation matters. Okay, I also have some Mirabilias in here, believe it or not, and I have a lot more upstairs in the craft room, but you know, that situation. I'm just kidding up what I had near me. So yeah, I'm just kidding up what I have near me. I did go into the craft room to steal the box of fabrics, which is where I found those other finishes. And if you, right there, those are the boxes that I speak of. So anyways, some Mirabilias that I've had here because I've recently purchased them or recently looked at them thinking those are ones I want to start soon. This one is Ella, the Frog Princess. I had bought, I'm pretty sure I bought the bead packs and everything except for the DMC for this, and the fabric as well. The fabric is recommended as French lace linen by Witchelt, which is very, very stiff. I bought it and it was kitted with it, and I put it aside. I don't want to stitch that on that. I have this, which I bought for something else, but it's not what I expected. This is 32 count vintage tarnished silver linen fabric by Lakeside Linens. Okay, if you hear a bunch of motors going, that's people outside clearing out the driveways because there's a lot of snow happening. Snowblowers. And you might hear an occasional snowmobile. And now I gotta go pick up the dog. Okay, so apparently I need to empty out my camera because we ran out of memory space. I was just about finished too. So anyways, I'm going to get this loaded into the computer, start doing some editing together, and delete some stuff off the memory card. And hopefully we won't have this issue happen again. So until next time, stay safe, be kind to each other, wash your hands, wear your mask, get vaccinated, all that stuff. And happy stitching. Bye.